Hi, I'm Dr. Christian Conte, and this week I am joined by my wife, Kristen Conte. And today we're going to talk to you about relationships. And so is our German Shepherd. He's going to talk about relationships too.
Oh boy.
We have been together for 18 years, and we've been married for 16 years. And in this video, we're going to talk to you about some of the keys to what makes longevity in a relationship possible.
There are lots of ways to help a relationship and make it long and happy. But today we're going to talk about the 4 main keys to help your relationship be long, happy, and successful.
So stay tuned.
Number 1, stay interesting.
What's that mean?
You tell me.
It's really interesting that you bring that up. Here's what we mean by stay interesting. If we go through life and we just keep bringing the same thing day in, day out to our relationship, then at some point we're going to build psychological tolerance.
Right.
The relationship is not going to be fun. I'm not saying, or I don't think that we would suggest, that you need to keep your relationship as though you're dating 20 years down the road.
Right. That may not be realistic.
Right.
But you need to put the work in.
That's exactly it. Put the work in. So to stay interesting, that means whether it's body, mind, spirit, or all 3, constantly working on yourself so that you can bring things to the relationship to keep the relationship interesting.
Right. If you're not fulfilled and you're not passionate about your own life and what you're doing, the person that you're with isn't going to find you interesting either. So if you're not waking up every day and you're not happy with what you're doing physically, mentally, and spiritually, there's a good chance that your partner isn't going to see that in you either if you can't see it in yourself.
I don't expect her to make my life interesting. I put the onus on me to help make her life interesting.
Right.
And I happen to have a partner who feels the same way.
Right, absolutely. I want to read new things and find new topics that are interesting and have good conversations, and I want to bring that to you and expand your world and make your world more interesting too.
The reality is that when you're in a long-term relationship, you do get caught up with the minutia of everyday life. But one of the things that you do at the beginning of a relationship is talk about big dreams, big things, your hopes, your aspirations for life. And along the way, somewhere along the line, those conversations drop off. We would suggest that you keep those conversations going because you're always going to have those dreams.
Right.
And whether you're living those dreams or whether you're aspiring for new things. But stay interesting for your partner.
Okay. The second key that we feel is important for a long, happy, healthy marriage, step 2 is grow together.
Grow together. In other words, if one person is growing in a relationship and the other person isn't, then what happens is you start to move into different places entirely. But if you're each growing, now you don't have to grow in the exact same way, but it's that you're both growing. You might be interested in completely different subjects. You might have different careers. You might have different paths for your life, but you're both growing. And as you grow, you're at least both growing together.
Right, you're both evolving. It's very hard for 2 people to stay together if one person is maybe getting higher education and the other person is kind of staying the way they were. One person is growing spiritually and really, going on to a different plane with their spiritual life, and the other person still has the same value system that maybe when they first got married, and they haven't added anything to it. So even if you don't agree with everything, and we're lucky that we agree with most things, but even if you don't, that's okay. It's just that you're both pushing yourselves to grow together, so you're both moving along and evolving as a couple.
Right, so you're staying interesting and you're growing together. You're learning together, and that means both people equally putting in work, because a relationship's a 2-way street. It can't just be one person doing it.
Yeah.
So again, these are keys to longevity in relationships, and we think it's important to stay interesting. We think it's important to grow together.
And the third key is don't scorekeep. Never scorekeep. Scorekeeping is a relationship killer.
Competition in life is natural. It's natural to be competitive people.
We're both super competitive.
Right, but competition when it comes to a relationship is really toxic, and here's the reason why. Usually we scorekeep, or we could assign arbitrary points to something that we do because we want the other person to value what we're bringing to the relationship. That's great. You gave me an 8 today. I always say people see your actions, not your intentions. And in a relationship, when we don't feel valued enough, we want the other person to see our intentions as well.
Right.
So it might arbitrarily put points to it. Hey, I went to work today. That's 10 points.
Sure.
And you say, well, I made every meal today, so that's 11.5 points.
Right.
And whatever it is, the intention behind point scoring is to have the other person validate you because you don't feel appreciated.
Right. So if you can find meaning in your own work, if you're a stay-at-home mom, the hardest job in the world, if you're a stay-at-home mom and you're taking care of a baby and you're cooking and you're grocery shopping and you're cleaning and you're doing all of these things and you might even be working too on top of that. Amazing that people can do that. You're doing all those things and you need to find the value in that yourself. You can't wait for your partner to tell you, hey, you did amazing, great job, gold star today, A+ today. You need to just be putting in the effort of your day yourself and not waiting for the other person to validate you. Because when you get into that, you like to give a list of everything that you've done and tell someone what you did. And it kind of makes them feel like, well, I did all this stuff too. And instead of validating each other, you just kind of feel like you're explaining your lives. And that's kind of a hard energy to live in.
It definitely is. So instead of scorekeeping, if you don't feel appreciated, it really is okay to just express to the other person that you don't feel appreciated.
Sure. Like husband could say, hey, I'm working really hard. I wake up early. I'm the sole provider for this family. This is really hard on me. And sometimes I feel like you do so much, but sometimes I feel like you don't know what I do when I'm away at work. And I would really appreciate it if you told me, that you understood that it's hard for me to go and leave my family every day. And just saying that helps.
Exactly. And the same thing is true with you for our relationship. You say, I would love for you to realize how much effort I put into today, and I know you can't even see it all.
Sure.
And that's very natural to feel that way. And it's healthy to feel that way. It's just easier to directly express that than trying to get into point scoring. So once you understand that the reason why you have the tendency to want to point score, keep track of what you're doing, is you don't feel appreciated,
right,
then you can just get right to the heart of it and just ask for the appreciation that you're looking for.
Right. If you come at someone with a list of things and that energy, no one's really going to say, oh, geez, I hear this big list and let me go through each thing and tell you how much I appreciate all these things. Usually they come, when you come at them with a list, it's, they want to say what they did and it becomes a back and forth. So again, just express yourself like, hey, I'm doing a lot and I know you're doing a lot, but sometimes I just need you to know, hey, I'm working really hard and I love you and this is hard. Marriage is, their work and bills and all these things. They get in the way and make life tough anyway. Don't add scorekeeping as another problem to deal with. Just don't scorekeep. Don't do it.
Don't scorekeep.
And this brings us to key number 4. Choose your battles. And what do we mean by choose your battles?
My goodness, choose your battles. In life, we get so caught up with our egos where we have to be right about certain things. And we could argue over the most ridiculous subjects. So for instance, we set a dinner reservation and you say, oh, it was for 6:15, and I say, oh, it was for 6 o'clock. And now it becomes about, wait a minute, you don't believe me that it was, whatever time I said.
And we're attached to it. No, I'm sure. This is everything I know. If you don't agree with me, you're not believing me. You don't think that I know what I'm talking about. You're now disrespecting every ounce of my being because you don't believe the one thing that I think is true.
And it might not even be significant. In other words,
right,
you are, whether it was 15 minutes or not. But people allow that to drive a wedge in their relationship. And the one thing that we would say is we would never sit here and say, oh, we've had this down pat since day one. We didn't. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of work. It took a lot of effort and growth. And to grow, to become to a spot to where we are today, which is why we want to share this with you. But to set your ego aside. And Kristen started saying something years ago, which was, my memory of this experience is, and the moment you phrase it as, my memory of it is, it becomes not about a battle. It becomes like, hey, that's your memory. Cool.
It's very disarming. It's just saying, you know what, this is what my memory of this was. This is what I believe I think happened, but I can let it go. This was what I think, but does it mean that It absolutely is true. I can't tell you how many times in life, I'm embarrassed to say, like I have been absolutely 1000% positive of something, and it turned out to be not true, and I was baffled. I mean, my memory, and they've done scientific studies on this, you know, people will see someone rob somebody and they're sure that their coat was red and they find out no, it was blue. We can be so certain about things sometimes, and our memory can trick us. So just not being attached is so much easier. You know, my memory is this. You know, I could be wrong. I think this is what it was.
When you're not attached to your memory, you're able to choose your battles. In other words, you can say, do I really need to fight over this reservation, whether it was at this time or this time?
Right. Do I want our whole evening that we have to spend with each other to be about 15 minutes of time, whether I was right or you were right? Is that really how we want to spend our time on our evening that we have together? And the answer most likely would be
no.
Right.
And if you go to some of the earlier keys and think about growing together and staying interesting, it's possible for however you were in the relationship as of even 5 minutes ago to change and to learn. Mm-hmm. So maybe something that we said from this video sticks with you and you say, you know what, that idea of saying my memory of this is powerful and it resonates with me. Take that into your relationship and watch the transformative power it has. Now we have to add this. There's a big difference between saying, the way you deliver a message.
Oh, that's a big one.
So
right.
If you say, my memory of it was that it was at 6:15. That's being genuine. But if I'm like, my memory was that it was at 6:15.
But you might be right. Let's go find out. Yeah. Let's see. That's totally different, and that's not at all what we're talking about. So make sure that you're not only saying these things, but you're saying them genuinely.
And so many people will reach out and say, well, but I feel like I'm right. I know that I'm right. And I again, it's a good question to ask yourself. Would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? Because if you want to be right, that's great, but that's probably not real healthy, especially for a long-term relationship.
Right. So do you want to be right or do you want to be
happy?
Right, there you go.
Which one do I want to be?
I'll tell you.
7 points for you.
7 points for me. So if you find yourself lucky enough to be in a relationship with someone that you want to spend a long-term amount of time with, we hope that these 4 keys will help you along that path.
Stay interesting. Grow together. Don't score keep. And for the love of everything,
choose your battles. We hope that these help you in the success and the path that you have ahead of you in your relationship. And we wish you
much peace. We've been married for almost 16 years, and we've been together for 18 years.
20.
We've been together for 20 years. Hi, I'm Dr. Christian.
Choose your battles. These are my teeth. Sometimes in a relationship, you need to do things out of your comfort zone. For example, I hate talking on video, and I hate doing videos more than anything. So when my husband came to me, of course I said no the first 17,000 times, and then I finally said yes to this one because I thought, hey, he's my husband. I should throw him a bone every once in a while.
And it doesn't help that I'm about to criticize her and tell her that she's looking down here when the camera's up there.
Oh! Where do I look? Where?
I look up there.
I was looking at you like we're talking. So I don't look at you, I look at the camera?
No, you look at the camera.
Well, that's weird.
You're talking to people on YouTube.
Oh.
You should say hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Oh, I suck at this.